All right, what's up, everybody? Bigger and louder with Anthony and John. I'm John.
I'm Anthony.
And we are live again in New York, continuing our special broadcast here from upstate. While Johnny's in town visiting his parents, Anthony drove all the way down from Connecticut to come and see me. Feel special.
You should feel special. I crossed the whole entire state line. Took me an hour and a half to get here. And I fought through some heavy rain and traffic. And a 2002 Volkswagen.
22-year-old Volkswagen?
Yeah, it's still kicking.
It's a Jetta, right?
The Jetta is still, those German cars, they got the magic sauce for just like longevity, I guess. But no, it's still doing good.
I remember so many cute chicks having Jettas.
Like who? No names given.
My neighbor.
Oh, your neighbor had
But she
one?
was cool. Like, she had a silver one. The silver Jettas were the ones a lot of girls had. But this was your wife's car, right?
Yeah, she had this car back in high school. Like that's how. But she never drew.
Did she get a new? Was it her car?
It was. I think it was a used car at the time.
Okay.
Yeah, cool. But the thing is, though, is if you take care of your cars, change the oil, you don't abuse. Right? If you do small little ticky tack things, these cars will last you forever.
I agree, dude. And I now drive a Kia Telluride. I have a Kia 2020, the first year they came out, and I love it. I love it. The only thing that started happening, and this is a funny one, I think it has something to do with the automatic off, like the automatic start or whatever. Like when you come to a stop, it shuts off. The fucking car would just stall.
You know what it was? The Malibu, right? Those Malibus are the ones the Chrysler Malibus are the ones that when you came to a stop, the car would shut off. Chevy Malibu, right? Yeah, what'd I say? Chrysler, sorry. Chevy Malibu, right. I remember because I went to visit you in California. They gave me a car, and I guess because they knew the car would stop or turn off at a stoplight just for emission reasons, they were like, what? I thought someone was busted the car, but if you think about it, it's actually really bad because the engine kicks on and off on it. That's actually a lot of wear and tear up the car.
I keep thinking, and that's what I think happened to this car because in Los Angeles, bro, you're at a stop every 2 seconds. You're commuting.
Yeah, I thought something had happened. I thought they gave me a lemon. I'm at the stoplight, and all of a sudden, like what the fuck? I got traffic behind me. I'm like, what the shit?
This was an interesting one because I wanted to talk about our cars, but while we're on this traffic thing, obviously the traffic in LA sucks. But the one thing that I wanted to talk about was if everybody just stopped jamming on their fucking brake and would come to a comfortable speed and not be switching lanes as much, the traffic would flow so much better. And the thing that I really noticed that there's a bunch of schmucks here in New York that were doing it, but out there, people don't zipper. Do you know what I mean when I say zipper?
Yeah,
they
just cut in and out of the traffic as fast as they can to get ahead of the next.
Well, no, let's say you're merging where there's a lane closure. Excuse me. A lane closure, and they're gonna bring 2 lanes or 3 lanes into 2 lanes into 1, whatever it is. The way that you're supposed to merge is not a mile before the lane closure. You're supposed to use not up until the very, very last second, but a reasonable distance to get into that lane.
Yeah.
And it is both drivers' responsibilities in both lanes to allow and then to yield in that to that next car, right? It's got to be one tooth, the other tooth, one lane, the other lane, because everybody can then seamlessly do it. And it fits more through a clogged artery, right? The blood's still going through, but it's hey, we're still congested, but as we're moving through, rather than a stroke where it's okay, we're gonna back up all the way, and then finally, we let it out once the lane's open. Yeah. So it's if people could just understand how to fucking zipper and to respect the fact that that's a piece of bullshit that we all have to deal with, I feel that would make my life a lot easier and a lot of Angelinos and New Yorkers' lives easier.
You have a better shot seeing God if that actually ever happens.
Okay, so we have this thing in Los Angeles on ramps, mostly on the 101, but they also exist on the 405, and I don't think the 110 as much, but definitely on the 405 and the 101. When you go onto an on ramp, they have a fucking stoplight. Now I call this a dummy light because only in California would people need a fucking stoplight to tell them how to merge and when to merge onto a highway. I can't stand it
They got those out on Long Island. They got the ones where it says go, like
Damn.
green light, red light. And you know what it is? Because there's just so much, the population is so huge at certain driving times that it's asked to do that to assist with like the congestion, the
Congestion.
the clutter. Yeah, you said it better than I could. So
Yeah,
the clutter. I was gonna say congestion.
Clutter.
Congestion, my nose.
My allergies.
But
yeah, man, I really get pissed off by that shit.
So like the bitch of it is though, as like we all know, that when you're merging, you at the person's you have to yield to the driver regardless. So if you can't merge correctly, you have to stop. Like there's no ifs, ands, or around it. Like if you cannot safely make your lane from like onto the ramp onto the highway safely, then you as that driver have to stop regardless until you think you can actually get on the highway. That's in the
But isn't that a yield? I think that's the problem, right?
Yielding, people, you have to.
There's not a yield on a highway. It's a merge.
It's a merge, but you have to yield to them because they don't have. So if I'm driving and you're trying to get on the highway from when you're getting up on the to get on,
right?
If
I'm getting on and you're getting,
I do not have to yield to you. You have to yield to me because I'm already on the highway.
Well, I respect. I mean, I think we'll ask our research team to get on this now, so we can get this in front of us.
And our research team is our wives, by the way. So
yeah, we're gonna ask our research team to get on this. But like, I believe it is the responsibility of both drivers. Now, if you are on the highway and I'm the merger, I'm getting on. I'm on the on ramp, and there's nobody in your left lane or middle lane or left lane, and you are just riding in that right lane. You are an asshole if you don't move over or allow me space to get in.
You're not wrong. You're right.
Now, if there is no space, the thing to do that is not just like I would say courteous. And yes, it's courteous, but that's not even the reason. It's to prevent the congestion. You should, again, zipper with those cars. So again, we're talking about a congested time.
It's like if you're
it should be one car goes in front of you and the next guy goes back.
Yeah, it's like if I'm in the right lane and I can take in the left lane, just get in the fucking left lane.
Yes, move over, get let the guy in.
You're right. Morally, you're right. But in the end of the day, it's a broken process because they don't have to. Like by courtesy, yes. But actually, like if you look at the DMV manual, like the right lane, you should be really in there when you're trying to get off. And the middle lane is where you're supposed to be for cruising, and the left lane is for passing. But everyone treats them just as equally, right? That's just, and right. You're never going to change anything about it because everyone's brains are on fucking, they're all like jello because everyone's just thinking about their day to day and where they have to go. But you know what the real thing actually causes traffic, and people underestimate this a lot. It's really, if everyone's going the proper speed between this speed of 65, let's say 70, depending on what state or highway you're on, it's actually the one car that ahead of all those cars that does 60 to 58. That's what causes those backups that people are wondering, like, why is traffic slowing? There's no accidents. There's no detours. There's no change of lanes. There's no only, that's what really that's what causes it. And there's actually videos on it where you actually watch, traffic going and someone just does 10 miles less than the speed limit for some reason. That's what causes it. I forgot. There's an actual effect. There's a real name for it and what it causes. But well, we'll call it that for now. That's literally what causes those 5-minute, 12-minute delays. And you're like, where the fuck is this coming out of? It's someone doing just a few miles less than the speed up front. That's where it causes it.
Yeah, I agree. And I agree and I disagree. I think that's the symptom of it. But the cause is that people fucking drive in the left lane. You're not supposed to drive in the left lane. It's the passing lane. And forget about California. There's such a mix of people out there. Like none of those motherfuckers know what.
John, I think you have a lot of road rage, and I think what you should do is trade in your car. Just get an e-scooter, get an e-bike, walk to work, take a bus, just something, or just get a permanently remote job.
Well, I want to call it road rage because I would call it like road frustration, road annoyance.
You're redefining the term that's been around for centuries. It's road rage. Just call it what it is.
Yeah, it's been around for centuries. Yeah, like 2 centuries.
Yeah.
The last century and this century.
Yeah, when it was a horse and buggy, you got a horse rage. Okay,
Yeah. Like I would whip the other guy.
Yeah,
horse
fuck
rage.
you, get out of my way. My seat's better than yours. Look who's crossing.
I'm in a fucking Clydesdale here. I'm on a Clydesdale.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of the way.
I'm on a Colt. Get out of my way, jerk off.
Heed to my stallion.
No,
When I tell my wife.
yeah.
Hey,
Hey, honey.
all right. So yes, I get really pissed off, but I get pissed off when people do dangerous things, especially when my kids are in the car. Like,
Yes.
I don't mind if somebody is cutting through, driving like a total jerk off in traffic, if they're not doing it in front of me. I'm like gonna make a comment on it, which again pisses my wife off. But like, I'm gonna be like, "Oh, look at that jerk off," and it's like, "Yo, the guy's like spinning through traffic. It's dangerous." Now, if a guy cuts in front of me unexpectedly, like I'm not one of those guys that doesn't let people in. If you put your blinker on, I let you in, and most of the time, unless I'm cruising on the highway and it's like you put your blinker on and you jump in front of me, like nah, like let me pass you and then you get behind me, right? Like that's what I believe should happen. But I don't have a problem with like speeding in general. I have a problem with people that go over the HOV lane. Now I understand, like you've been to Arizona, right?
Yeah, they have one on the island. The high occupancy vehicle.
Yeah. The difference in Arizona is that in Arizona you can enter and exit the HOV lane at any given moment. You can go from the high occupancy as long as you put your blinker on to like the.
So what's the
lane.
point of having a lane like that?
Well, it's because it's not. It's meant to like. There's no restriction. Like it's there if you're a high occupancy, but there's no restriction on when you can come in and out of that lane as a high occupancy vehicle, if that makes sense. So if I am driving a passenger vehicle 4 and my exit's coming up in California, I am legally not supposed to pass over that line. I am supposed to wait for like a dashed lane, opposed to what we have is like a solid white line and then a double yellow.
Yeah.
I am supposed to wait for a dashed lane to get over to the passing lane and then make a safe exit. In Arizona, you can pass whatever the fuck you want. You get in and out of that lane no matter what. Now, you're supposed to, again, have more than one person in the car, but it makes it really stressful, dude, because if there's traffic and you're in that HOV lane and I don't speed when there's no one in front of me and the traffic is stopped, because at any given moment, some piece of shit is absolutely jumping out of the passing lane into the fucking HOV lane and causing some massive accident, right? So I don't speed through those lanes, but I don't know. It makes it crazy to me, like that you could do it at any time.
I mean,
I don't know. Traffic is a fucking bitch.
Yeah, I know it is. That's why I'm saying, why don't you just like get a remote job, work from home, or just like take an easy.
You still have to drive.
Yeah, you have to drive, but at least you know if you're driving, it's not because you have to be somewhere because of urgency, but rather you're driving someplace. So at least you know, hey, I don't have to rush today to get to this job. I don't have to rush today to get here and there and like having to do like an 8-10 hour day, then sit in gridlock traffic again and deal with the same shitheads. Right?
But I don't think I could do only remote.
Why? Why not?
I'm a social guy. I like being in the office. I'm a team guy. I like playing into, that team environment and like boosting people's morale in the workplace and making it not just, oh, like I'm here to do my job and go home. Like I appreciate people that have a 9 to 5 and can do that, because if that's what your job requires and it's not something that, you're thinking about around the clock or required to make like high, strategic decisions that are going to like position your company, like, sure, go ahead and check out and like not, but when you're there, I feel like I thrive in environments that are more like a team. Again, like it's not like a solo operation. I think that like there's a lot of respect to be given to like what they call now like independent contributors at work, meaning you don't manage anybody or necessarily have like a team of people that report to you or that you're on. You do your job, get your shit done, and flow it up the chain or like marry it up with other people. So it's like, I think like to me, I want to be in environments where like I can be there, see people, having in-person meetings, go to lunch, go to the happy hour, go like,
oh man, like me, I'm the opposite, man, at this point in my life. 10 years ago, maybe, yeah, if you were like smothering me with all these like extra gimmicky things around the office, like the K, the coffee bean, the coffee bar, all the snacks, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
No pizza party though.
But no,
Party.
man, fuck it. Like, I don't give a shit about that. You know, something that's actually, you know, if you actually were to ask the majority of people who work today, like I was my dentist and the hygienist said to me, "Oh, you know, shooting the shit with me." He said, "Oh, you know, do you work remotely?" I'm like, "Yeah." "Oh, I would love to work remotely because everyone's sick and tired of commuting." But if you were to pull the majority of people, ask them, like, would you rather work remote from the comfort of your home whenever you wanted to, or have to go into an office? I guarantee you the majority is going to say remote, just due to the fact that, like, they don't want to feel forced to have the same
Fair enough
interactions with people.
I completely agree. If I'm giving the option of having to go in every day versus like a fully in person versus a fully remote, I would opt for the fully remote.
Yes.
However, I choose neither. I choose hybrid. I choose where
you choose to identify as hybrid.
That's what you do? I identify as a hybrid worker.
Okay.
I appreciate the flexibility of going in when the work is necessary, when that eye-to-eye meeting with executives for presentations or budget, like important budget meetings or confidential meetings that, you know, you don't want to be in a big conference room shouting across the screen at, you know, somebody on talking about salaries and headcount. You know, those are, you know, or you know, confidential sales yet and early deals. You know, you don't want that kind of stuff necessarily to be like shouted from whatever, you know, remote location you're at. Okay. So, but then the hybrid availability or that hybrid option says, okay, when the time is right and you are doing that independent work, doing, you know, your presentation or like just refining, like go mining through data, doing your formulas, working a spreadsheet, whatever the fuck you do, making your cold calls, making sales calls, doing follow-ups. No, you do not need to be at a physical office location for that nonsense, right? Like that's the busy work. That's the stuff that, like, I think in leading or cutting edge company, to me, an attractive company for somebody like me, and I work in entertainment finance most recently. Somebody for me could do hey, the days that you don't come in, yes, you need to be available for calls throughout the day. But if you want to jump on at 6 a.m. and work till like 3 or 4, you know, whatever, and call it quits, by all means, do it. You know, be available. Like, hey, if one of your teammates needs you or somebody on your, you know, needs a, you know, to call in and, you know, ask for something or work on something like ad hoc, you know, right? Like, and you need to pivot. Like, yeah, sure. Like, you know, I'll be available until 5 or 6. But come on, crank through your work and get all those like really hard man hours done so that during your day, it's not as stressful, you know, and things don't pile up. You know, I think like that. That's what I look for.
I'm going to poke a hole in that bag of shit. I'm going to
okay, go ahead, bro.
So here's the thing. So there's two parts here that I was listening to the whole thing, and I'm just like, you know, something. He's like I'm you can call me the Michael Scott of this conversation, where I'm just going to like question the norm at this point, because you talked about actually going into the office and meeting people as needed, right? And being like, all right, you know, soaking up everyone's awesomeness and just being like, oh, hey, look at me. Yeah. Oh my God.
Kumbaya. Kumbaya.
What are you doing? Let's just sit and talk at the water cooler, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So I guess here's my question. Why can't you do that at a Panera Bread? Or why can't you do that at a fucking Wendy's in the back room someplace where you don't have to go into an office? And to take that a step further, the reason why I say that is because the individuals who want the hybrid life is what's preventing people from the permanently remote life, because now your employer is now leasing a building or leasing office locations and paying rent on that. And therefore they're like, well, you want to, it's like, well, we have this culture where we don't give people the option of working fully remote. We are a hybrid company at this point.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough. But Starbucks. Yo, here's a fucking newsflash for you. All these companies own office space.
Yes.
They own it. Like all of my employers have acres upon acres of studio space throughout Hollywood and Los Angeles.
Yes.
So it's like, yo, they're not selling it. They're leasing it out to some third parties. Like, that's a lucrative business. But it's like they have this space. It's not like, oh, well, like, hey, yes, if you're like a new startup or a tech company like that's, you know, operates lean and around the world or global, it has remote workers already and third-party contractors doing data bullshit.
Yes.
Fine. Yes. Be remote, be scattered.
There's an exception to the rule. I agree with you. Like, to your point, if you work for Warner Brothers or for Paramount or you work for, right, you have millions and millions of dollars of equipment and spaces that you just can't like just get
billions of dollars.
Okay, but that's a very niche industry. And right, there are niche industries that literally require someone to be on spot. For example, I don't think a janitor can work remotely. No, like
but your dental hygienist who's like, I wish I could work remotely. Yeah. Like, how the fuck would that work?
You got it.
Like, let me stick the camera in my mouth. Like, what the fuck?
But I would say the majority of other positions don't have to necessarily be. Absolutely not. I mean, think about it. Everyone says they want to go into the office, and whether they know what they're talking about or not. Oh, I want the hybrid life because, oh my God, guess what? I want the free snacks. I want this. I want that. But guess what? The employers are also using that as bait because they know that the majority of people who are interested in that are going to probably take lower paying jobs because guess who pays for all that coffee and all that, fun stuff? You do. Oh. You're paying for that. Right? It's you and me who are paying for that rather than I don't need free snacks. I don't need to be paying for food forever. Give that to me on my paycheck. Give me the money.
I'll buy my own fucking snacks.
I'll buy my own snacks. Right? That's the reality of it. And
I'll buy the snacks
because they know that it's going to deter people from actually realizing that we offer all these amenities and all these fun things. And guess what? We're going to pay you probably less money than what you're probably deserving coming out the gates.
Every single job in this country, this great country of ours, pays people less than they deserve.
I know that.
So what the fuck?
But guess what? It's like we'll pay a little less because guess what? We give you all this free stuff as a thank you. But guess what? In the end of the day, you're paying a little bit.
I can tell you right now, I do not believe that the titans and tycoons of this nation and these C-suite guys that are leading our corporations today have any false idea that people are like, yes, this pizza party is keeping me here. Or, yeah, you know what? We upgraded the snacks, everybody. Now there's there's M&Ms in the trail mix now. Come on.
It may not be the bulk of it, but it's a big part, but it's a portion of it. Yes, because there are people who I used to work at other companies. All they did was bash it. They hated it. Oh, my God. But guess what? Sure enough, every Tuesday, oh, where are you going? Oh, I'm going to the work today. They're serving chimichangas today. That's my favorite time. It's like they literally just forget about all the gripes they have because the company's feeding you free food and whatever else you need. And one more thing just a little wrinkle to your logic. Think about it. For startups or companies that could go remote, right? Do you know how much money they would actually save by just downgrading their space they already have? Like I work for companies where they did a poll. They operated out of a big unit. They had 5 floors and they actually did a poll for everybody. Like, would you prefer to work remotely? And the majority of people said yes. So they actually went to the realtor and they said, we're going to cancel these units we have because they're spending $18,000, $30,000 a month in rent.
I think that is absolutely the right way to go. That to me sounds like the type of company that adapts to what their employees are asking for and is nimble enough and without that existing footprint to make those type of relatively quick changes. Now, there's always something to be said about consolidating, but here's the other thing. By sheer default, if you say, hey, everyone's on a hybrid schedule, it's going to be let's just say 2 days in the office to not make it 3, right? So there's not really that overlap that we have. So there's 2 days in the office, and then maybe every other week it's a third day. So half the people come in 2 days 1 week and half the people come in 3 days that week. It's always about half full in the office. Your footprint gets consolidated by 50%. And rather than people now, I always think it's nice to have a couple pictures, especially I have a mouse pad of my kids. I have a couple pictures of my wife and some, movie Ghostbusters stuff at my desk. But I'm not really opposed to saying, hey, it's shared workspace. John shares his desk with Matt and Jessica, it's 2 random people. And Wednesdays, John's there, Thursdays, John's there, Tuesdays, Matt's there, Fridays, Matt's there. And then Jessica gets that Wednesday, right? And we're I don't know what it would be, but just bullshit like that. Hey, keep your picture in the drawer. This is John's drawer. These are Matt's drawers. And we would, separate it like that. And I think that to me is a amicable solution, again, for a company that can adapt. Now, companies with big footprints that already have space, think about all the third parties that you could start bringing in by leasing that, committed space out. Whether you own it or you're locked into a lease, you would be able to say, well, hey, all right, well, look, I'm a Paramount does this. They lease a lot of their office space to third-party production companies, right? So like, directors, writers, VFX, like, different visual effects studios, they'll have offices on the lot that are rented out. And I'm sure their model, like I've left there, 4.5 or almost 5 years ago, but their model, I'm sure, has adapted post-COVID to compensate for the hybrid schedules, where they're either probably leasing out more space or, again, continuing to kind of, continuing to kind of consolidate their people in certain locations.
But again, like, I think those are the exceptions to the rule, right? I think any up and coming company should realize, like, we are now in the 21st century. Like, just like everything else has adapted and changed, where, years ago, like, it was required, like, you commuted to a job, and then all of a sudden, like, now those jobs became more like, I can now find satellite locations to work closer because people were expanding. That was a thing. And then now we're in the part where, like, the internet has made it possible to basically work anywhere from any place you want to. And I think, right, there's going to be a exception to the rule with industries like the entertainment industry that just have, like, these buildings, and what do we do with them, right? Like, we can't just, like, eat it, right? This is where all of our money's invested, and we want to shoot the back lot of Universal Studios.
These gigantic skyscrapers that are all around
King Kong's head just sitting in the back. We need to use that again for, like, a stunt, No,
but I mean, like, I'm talking about, like, downtown city space, like these office buildings, not just in Los Angeles, but around the country. Like, what are we doing? We're going to just tell people to go home. I mean, look, like, I am all about workers' rights and empower. Like, my beliefs, bro. Like, I believe
in the conflict, though, of interest, though.
No, but I don't believe in forcing people to go to the office. That's not what I'm saying. But I believe that it is doing a disservice to the people of this country, or to, the people of this world, to say, stay at home all day. Just watch your TV, go on your computer, kick back, don't have any social interactions, because that starts breaking down the bonds of community, bro. And, like, that to me is one of the things that's happening in this country, and it's like, I don't want to, like, all of a sudden be like, oh, well, John said that, working remotely leads to, is leading to the destruction of this nation. Like, no, it's not. It's just like, it's one little, again, straw of hay in a haystack of bullshit that's just saying, well, look, like, we don't really have this such community that we had even, like, when we were kids, man, like 15, 20 years ago, right? Like, things have changed dramatically. Like, I know a couple of my neighbors now in the neighborhood we're sitting in here in my hometown. I know fucking everybody, or I did, right?
Yeah,
so
I mean,
things have just changed.
I partially agree with you. And here's the two things where, like, I don't believe, like, you should have to force people to actually do one or the other. But if you actually give, the employees that, choice, be like, oh, well, if you're a company and you want to attract the best talent, and you're just trying to be like, well, our best talent coming from, like, people want to be in the office, or my best talent from people want to be remote, etc. Well, now you force your employer to, like, again, lease a property someplace or buy a building. And now they have to make the decision, like, do I just decide to force people into the office, or how do I make this, fair for everybody?
Right.
But back to that, like, I don't think people are sitting on their asses at home just watching TV, binging on Netflix. If the work is getting done, the work is getting done. That's number one. Like, everything online is monitored, no matter what line of work you're in, whether you're in, like, sales, finance, accounting, whether you're in legal. It's all documented because there's deadlines that have to be met. That's just the reality of it. You had mentioned about, like, people being disconnected now because they're working remotely, which I completely disagree. If you want to talk to someone, there's a little thing called Zoom, and just meet people regularly on your team. I knew someone about, I was talking to my old friend about last year. I was talking about doing, like, a high school reunion, and this guy's actually on the committee, and he said, well, I'm actually on the committee with a whole bunch of people from the high school. We want to hop on a Zoom to have a reunion. And I said to this guy, well, something, if you're on a Zoom, what's the point of having a reunion then?
You're going to see everybody anyway.
Right. You're going to see everybody every right? So I said to him, like, what is that? So, like, I don't think people are disconnected. If anything, like, you have options to connect with people when you want to. So if the people who want to get connected want to, they have it. If you don't, you don't.
Okay, fair enough for people who know each other. But let's say you're walking into, like, a fully remote environment, and you've never physically met anybody.
Yeah.
What is going to prompt you to ever want to go and get drinks or have lunch or hang out with that person if you've never met before? You'd have to be like, well, hey, like, is it weird that we've never met, but we work together? Like, and now I guess, like, in some ways, like, sure, I worked with people overseas and, Europe, Latin America, Australia, Hong Kong, wherever, that I've never physically met. But it's because they're overseas. It's not like, hey, we're all fully remote and we all live like in the valley in downtown LA, but we've never seen each other. Right. It's like, that's what I think is different. Like, I don't think you would ever like want to go out and meet somebody if there wasn't at least something that at one point compelled you to do so.
Right. You know what compels me to want to meet these people? Not a damn thing, because that's why they're working remotely across seas. They're like, oh, I don't have to see anybody in the office. I get to work from my own home and I get to do whatever.
No, they go to the office. Geez, bro. Like we have there's offices in Europe and London and everything. There's places. But I don't know. Yeah, I think like,
I guess, what do you get out of like wanting to like powwow with people? Like, think about it. I just got to work. I'm doing 8-9 hard hours of like nonstop work. And then after that, I'm then forced on fumes. I now have to like go meet people in a bar, which is overdone. Yeah, everyone meets, wherever you want to meet. I have to now put on a face, strike up a conversation.
This isn't mandatory fun time, dude. It's not mandatory.
But that's how it seems, though. It's like,
no, all right. So perfect example. Most of the places I've worked, like people have gotten together at least at some point to either have happy hours like on campus or off. And it always turns into like, we're having a great time. There's karaoke, there's shots every now and then. Like, we're eating food together, sharing stories and like, understanding who we are.
Sure.
Because, and again, we come in from different lines of work. Anthony is in sales currently.
Yep.
And I work in more or less like corporate finance and like divisional FP&A, like forecasting and, data mining and pivot tables and presentations, right? Things like that. So for me, a lot of my focus comes from like being and understanding who people are and how they think and like where people come from. I think there's a lot of sociology that comes from being in fucking front of somebody. Right. The body, like Anthony and I's body language, are different when we're in the room together right now than when I'm in California and he's in Connecticut. And it'd be like, smiling now. He's smiling now.
Smiling, yeah.
And because he's like, all right, John's right. That, yes, it does make a difference in sociology. And so therefore, yes, it does have an impact on our human community, communal groups.
Right. You're talking on the pro, but you're also forgetting the other side of it. I'm going to throw a wrinkle in there, John.
Wrinkle away.
Okay. Has there ever been anyone in your jobs in any shape or form that you loathed, detested, could not stomach working with in any shape or form, whether they're on your level or seniority? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. Now take this. Now, do you think that the persons who actually work with you in those offices are not going to hit the idea that people are going to be hanging out and to know everybody first person? Now, guess what? You have to meet those persons in a social event, and how are you not gonna just be sucking your teeth in the back of your mouth being like, fuck this person, I hate my boss because this person's just a jerk off? But guess what? I had to deal with this idiot all day. I had to deal with him now.
So well, I mean, I'm not answering on behalf of the American people. I'm answering on my behalf.
Yeah, of course.
Do you think I give a fuck? So do you think that it makes any difference to me and if some schmuck shows up that I don't like to a happy hour? Do you think like it's going to ruin my whole time and my
I don't think it's
gonna,
like, I don't think it's going to ruin your time.
Do you think it like I'm going to
But I get the average person out there doesn't want to have to answer to like a micromanager at some point.
Well, I mean, not every bad manager is a micromanager, but that's
all right. Maybe all right, it's a loose term for like on a grander scheme.
Right, or a poor or aggressive,
poor manager,
or whatever
aggressive, whatever you want to call it. Someone that you and the majority of people just are not hip to. And now they come hanging out, and all of a sudden that would be your buddy. And now you have to put a fake smile on. Now you're hanging out with this person in the bar or at Panera Bread or at fucking Wendy's, and all of a sudden, like now,
the hot spots.
You got the hot spots, man. And then you got to take that conversation back to the office, and then you're gonna worry about like what you said, what you didn't say, when you have a good time, how you're gonna now be judged in front of those people now, because now you have to put the face on for eight more hours a day and be like, like we now know. Like
I think that's the difference, then, man. Like I don't put a face on. And I think like, the people again, like that have worked with me, that listen and that know me in my, private life or personal life, I'm pretty much the same. I try to curse less in the office, or like, I don't write leave the expletives out of my emails, at least at work, right? But I'm the same guy, man. I don't have to put on a face or worry about what I said, because what I said at a bar would be the same thing I said in a boardroom. Like, maybe again with a little bit different wording, but more or less the same point.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't look, man, I've been lucky. I've had great career, done a lot of stuff. I've presented to divisional presidents, executives and CFOs, city council members, the budget and finance committee of LA, the mayor of Los Angeles. Okay. Like the city controller. I presented to these people. And the one thing that's always been like something I've been proud of, at least to say, is that I've treated them all the same. I've acted the same in all of those meetings. And I've done the same when I'm presenting to young kids, whether it's like, hey, here's a new concept when I coached football, or here's a new process, guys, that I'm putting together at work, or here's a new spreadsheet I did that tracks our fucking calendars and tasks and, all our deadlines. It's like the same type of like demeanor and tone and like, blah, 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 blah. So no, I don't get like all like antsy or anxious if some, again, like a, jerk off from work, whether it's a manager or colleague or whoever comes in there.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like, for me, I guess I hold grudges.
That's
the thing.
Anthony loved this town so much. He goes grudges so deep when I was like, oh yeah, we should go out and watch. Why the fuck would you want to go out in Washingtonville, New York?
Yeah.
Mr. WHS.
Yeah. I mean, listen, like, I hold grudges with people because at one point in my life, I was actually giving a lot of people the benefit of the doubt. I really tried seeing the best in people and shit like that. But I realized that, there's that expression, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. And, something, it's like, once, if you're good at reading people and you know what they're all about, like, who you want to be around, who you don't want to be around, and you just don't want to give anybody the satisfaction, right? Like, I'm not saying I hate people. That's not it at all. I just, anyone who talks to me at work knows I am the grand poobah of fun and being a smart ass at work and know like what I'm all about. But you don't have to be a rocket scientist to know that there's a bad apple in the bunch. And he's like, I don't want to be around these people because you're just another statistic of people that just doesn't gel well with the majority of workers out there. So it's like, well, right, if you're going to be here, I'm going to be on the other side away from you. So that way I'm going to be fucking near you. Got to look at you too much during the course of a day. But again, like that's, again, like I'm not saying to everybody, but like we're talking like on those one-off cases where like you just don't want to like.
So you are saying that one bad apple spoils the whole bunch.
I'm saying, yeah,
I would rather not deal with anybody than deal with one bad apple.
Here's another example. So when I was working, they gave us a work trip to go to the Dominican Republic, and our senior director's time. A lot of people had a very love-hate relationship, more hate for this person. And, it just seemed like, I had to deal with the orders and deal with the direct management and the authority and the, the sort of like, whatever other word I can think of right now starts with T, tyrants, right? We'll call it a tyrant behavior all day at work, right? And it's lucky of us were given a reward for such a hard work to go to the Dominican Republic. Now, this person is on the trip with us, trying to be buddy with all of us. It's funny, like, it's like, how come you're changing? Like, why now? Why am I going to hang out with you? You haven't given me a reason to give you any sort of like, warmth towards actually being around you.
He gave you a free trip. They gave you a free trip.
No, I earned the trip, right? That was my, like, again, the company brought enough cash to reward their top.
But they didn't have to reward it.
Well, they didn't have to.
You invited me on that trip.
I did invite you to that trip.
I wish I could have gone.
It was a shit, man. It was a fucking fun time, man. They didn't have, right. They don't have to, but something, right. You can just give me the money, right? Like everyone's entitled to a bonus, right? Would have saved you a lot of money. But again, like another point, you're spending money on a fucking trip, all inclusive, right? 5-star hotel, 5-star entertainment, 5-star this, 5-star that, blah, blah, blah. Guess what? That's coming with probably a lot of money. That's probably maybe you did budget for, perhaps. But something, man, why don't you give me that for my check? I don't know better spend it than you do, right? Or here's another example. There are companies that literally just want to throw big company bashes at major events. Like I used to work for a company, and the first thing they did was like, okay, we're in March. We're going to have our big annual
St. Patrick's Day.
No, it was they call it the State of the Union, if you will, where like, okay, everyone from across the world and countries going to come for this company event, and we're going to spend all this money on 5-star hotels in Vegas and have like all you can eat, all you can drink, do the big. Well, guess what? Like, I understand you're trying to build some camaraderie here, but you know something? You're spending money you don't have to do. Why not give that money back to people? They can buy what they need for their families and loved ones, and just kind of like let it be. No, because they think this is what sells. This is what people want. This is what they're saying. We're going to spend this much money.
I mean, Anthony, like you are like, it's, I mean, I guess this is good that you're saying this, but you haven't like made the realization yet. But like, you're talking about like, you're not really talking about capitalism here. You're talking about like more like wealth, like, you know, giving, you're talking about like, you know, income redistribution, which is like, you know, again, rather than keep those profits for the C-suite people, you want, and them give you a pizza party or some bullshit trip. You'd say, give us that bonus, give us that raise, give us that something, you know, in above and beyond the cost of living adjustment and inflation, right?
It's not a forever thing. It's just
right.
like here, like instead of like blowing it on bullshit, you know, again, think about it. If you have a corporate company trip in Vegas, that's going to cost you millions of dollars, right?
No, that's not true.
Okay, well,
how many people are you bringing? Right? You know, I mean,
you're bringing thousands upon thousands of people from across the globe.
Well, I mean, thousands upon thousands. Is this like Amazon? Like, it's not that big.
Well, regardless,
you know, if it's 1,000 people,
you're thinking they're buying your airfare, room and board, accommodations, entertainment, food, maybe
all expensive.
They gave you things to go out and right, like that adds up really quickly.
Maybe it wasn't
for one person, right? So think about it, like instead of doing that, you can give that money to some other people. And guess what? Now you actually have like, you can take that money and invest it into your 401k. You can put in different stocks and you can like, watch it grow. But no, they want to pay you to go to these events because they think this is what you want.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, you know, I'm right. I mean, like, it's not a matter of.
I don't agree with you. No, I don't. Like, I mean, like, yeah, I think I agree that people should get paid rather than having meaningless fucking nothing powwows,
right?
But I also have like, again, I'm the camaraderie guy, I'm the team guy. I like that kind of shit. So yeah, like if my company is like, hey, would you rather me give you this like $2,000 or would you rather go on like an all expenses paid trip to Vegas for like 3 or 4 days? I would probably pick the Vegas trip.
I'd rather take the work. Well, no, because now you're comparing like that trip to Vegas, which you just mentioned, and $2,000 is not even the same fucking ballpark. It's not even the same fucking sport.
Well, I mean,
I'd rather take the expense of that Vegas trip. Give me that. If you're gonna,
that's what I'm saying. Like, I think like well, I mean, look, man, like I'm it's different for me because I live in LA. So, you know, if you went to a hotel in Vegas and you stayed for like Thursday, Friday, Saturday with the flight and with all the food, it would probably cost like $2,000 without doing like front row VIP tickets and bottle service. You know, I'm talking about like a trip to Vegas, Robbie, like you're saying about $2-3 grand, right? So would you rather have that or would you rather go away for the weekend with, you know, a bunch of work people with, you know, do this big party thing? Like I would choose the party thing.
I guess I would understand if we can
9 times out of 10.
If we're talking dollars and cents, how much did the trip to Vegas cost per person?
Okay. Like, let's just say that you're going to get, well, I mean, I gave you my estimate. I thought it would be $2 or $3 but like, let's just break it down real quick. If you were going to get a hotel for 3 nights, let's just say you're going to pay $250 per night,
which is that's
a lot. That's just staying at a nice place. $250 per night. And that's by yourself in a single room, not bunking up with anybody. Right. So that's $750. The plane ticket is probably under $200.
No.
From LA, it is.
Well, it depends. What if you're?
Well, but I'm from LA.
But I'm from the East Coast. So
you're like so. Okay, so yours is probably $350.
Okay, is that round trip or one way?
Round trip.
Okay, round trip $350. So we're almost close to $1,500.
No, we're at like $1,100 because we did $700.
Taxes.
What
taxes?
Anthony. I'm giving you the all in.
I know. I'm being a smart. I know.
Yeah. So like, what I'm saying is, you're probably paying like $250 a night for a hotel. That's $750.
Yeah.
For me, you're probably paying $150, $200 for a round trip. Let's just make it $300 for shits and giggles. Mm-hmm. So now you're at $1,050.
Okay.
right? Let's round it up for $1,100 because
okay.
you know you're going to get a drink at the airport, right? And that's one drink, $50. So
Okay.
let's round it up to 1,100.
Fair enough.
Now you're in Vegas, hotel paid, for $1,000, around $1,100.
Sure.
$900 for 3 days. So $300 a day on food and entertainment is a lower budget, not a crazy budget, but doable. And that would get you to then the $2,000. So if we said 3,000 per person, that would then be like, oh, they took us to see Sigmund and Freud before, with his head, he sewed his head back on.
Yeah.
Right. Like some shit like that. We got to see that, or, Copperfield or some bullshit show.
Right.
Right. Like, who's ever performing. I would have loved to see Britney. But anyway, that again would cost $2,000 to $3,000.
Right.
So now let's say you're inviting 1,000 people. That's like $3 million, bro.
But now again, you're lowballing the number of people who actually go to these events, though. Like,
dude, not many now, if your company was a big company, great. But for example, none of the companies I work for are sending 1,000 people anywhere for anything.
So here's my answer to that, though. If the price is coming, let's just say, for the argument's sake, like going to Vegas away because come slightly higher than give me a $2,000 check, lack of a better way of saying, right?
You would take the money, not the experience.
I would take and the reason being is because that trip will probably be there again next year and maybe the year after that, right? So I like the idea of knowing, like, okay, here, folks, like you can either take what the trip is actually worth and do what you want with it, or you can blow it and like be done.
If they said, "All right, I'll finish."
I'd rather take that $2,000 and let it grow for another year to turn that into potentially $4,000 or $5,000 or $6,000, whatever much it comes.
In what sense?
In stock market, into real estate, invest it, diversify. Like Scrooge McDuck even said the same thing. He's like, tells his little nephews, he's like, the way I got rich is making a little piece of the pie grow. If I just sat on it all day, I might as well be stranded on an island. You got to let it grow. You might as well go in and out constantly.
I mean, it makes yes, Anthony. Like, I'm not going to debate with you that you have to like spend money to make.
Yeah,
like
that's what I would rather do. I'd rather be in control of the money versus someone saying.
But that's not the case. I mean, that's not capitalism. Like, you understand that those events are meant to get people to buy back into the fact that it's like, yay, we're towing the company line.
Yes.
Right. So it's like, I like them because like I don't mind towing the company line. Like, I like that kind of stuff. In the sense of like,
I do like it too, to an sense, yes, but I'm not saying I'm like completely Mr. like anti, like, oh,
I mean, you've established yourself as anti-office, anti-people, and
anti-work people.
Vegas, yeah, you're anti-Vegas
people because people will screw you when you least expect it, right? You come on, let's not that you can't argue that.
Debate that.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. It's like you got fucking responsibilities, and the fact that these bunch of busybodies. Well, getting off topic here, but right. I'd rather know for the fact that I actually have the choice to do with that money what I want, not it being dictated to me like, okay, you're getting a trip and take it. Like, that's it. See, I'd rather someone say, what do you want to do with it? We can either just cash in the chips and here you go, Anthony. Or if you want to go into Vegas, this is what you can go. I'd rather have that option. And that shows like you care about my opinion, what I want to do with, not just like you just pointed out. We're all going to have our little hoo-ha. Yeah, this company rocks. And like,
I mean, you're not really giving me like much to go on, dude, because if you're really saying like, oh, are you telling me you wouldn't want the option to pick between the cash and the trip? It's like, duh. I would want the option, bro, because maybe it's like 1 year I do want to go on a vacation just with my family.
Correct.
Or I want to buy a new computer or camera or whatever, like something like that.
Yes.
But like, I'm saying, like, I don't
give that
think
option, is what I'm saying to your point.
Oh no, right. Like, companies don't give that, but like, of course I agree. It would be great to have an option, but what I'm saying is those things do matter. Like, I would rather have the camaraderie of that experience and that trip. And if we're working in a remote environment, it makes it all that much more important, where it's that once a year thing where we do get to see all those crazy fucks that we've sent all these emails to, and that jerk off in AP or AR that like hasn't gotten back to me, or, this bitch in accounting that like, talks shit over her IMs when the girl is sitting right in front of me and I can read her IMs talking shit about me, like little things about that, like, it's like, whatever, man. Right. So I don't know. I appreciate the workspace. Anthony, you want to be home chilling. I love the option of not wearing pants and wearing shorts.
And also, you're reading another small thing too, which I think I forgot to mention, which we overlooked. But like, as a remote worker, right? You don't have to be at home. You can pick up and go work anywhere you want to, whether you choose to like go take a vacation in Florida. Maybe I want to go to Brazil for like 4 days, work out of the hub over, like that is the benefit. Like you don't have to be stationary to one location anymore. Right. That's what people are doing. Like I'm working with a guy now. He literally travels to fucking Brazil because he has a timeshare there. He's like, I want to get the fuck out of Colorado. Like I'm just gonna fucking go. So I'm like, all right, good, man. Good for you. So like, there's more perks to doing remote because there's that in the essence is what the hidden value is. Like, right, you can work anywhere you want to. You want to go to Europe, you want to go to fucking China, you want to go to fucking Brazil. I don't give a fuck where you go.
As long as the time zone.
If you can make the time zone work, all the best to you. Like, you don't have to sit there and be stationary.
Yeah, you could be in a park. You could be on your front porch.
Fucking, you could be
during COVID. I worked out.
You can literally be in a public toilet on the shitter all fucking day. I don't give a fuck. But like, go where it's most comfortable. Like, do you, right? Like,
all right, that's funny, man. All right, everybody. Thank you very much. This has been an awesome episode. We are happy to be broadcasting together in person, live from New York. Thanks, everybody. This is Bigger and Louder with Anthony and John.